Welcome back to our homestead. Today I'm going to be sharing some homemade snacks we made for our family during the Pantry challenge.
We had a little warm spell and spent a lot of time outside. We finished up our irrigation. You guys may have seen that. And we've also been working on mulching things and getting things prepped and ready for the next garden season. After I spent all that time outside, I realized I needed to get back inside to the kitchen to get some snacks and meals prepped because we are still doing the Pantry challenge. And we also just cook a lot from scratch in general. So I need to batch cook some things and batch bake some things so that we don't have to spend all day every day inside the kitchen. So I'm taking some of our bulk ingredients from the pantry and making them into things we can more readily and easily eat that are quick. So one of those things is homemade instant oatmeal packets. This is something that you can buy at the store, but I made my own version at home, and I don't store mine in little baggies anymore. I just store it in a mason jar. I write on there exactly how much it takes to make a little bowl of oatmeal in the morning, and we just have that all ready to go so we don't have to take the ingredients out every morning. Another thing that I'm hoping to make today, if I have time, is granola. While I have all of the oat ingredients out, I'm hoping to get a batch of that done as well.
When I was growing up, I did not like oatmeal, and even as an adult, I didn't love it. Until very recently, I started to develop a taste for it, and I think a lot of that had to do with how it was prepared. When I was little and as an adult, I was eating the pre-made mixes from the store or cooking it in a pot, and it was getting really mushy. I think that's just what I don't like about it, is it can be kind of mushy. And once I discovered old-fashioned oats and how to cook them, I started to like it more. So now I will eat this in the morning, and so will the kids. There are lots of different flavors that we have come up with to make these instant oatmeal packets, but this one is apple cinnamon, and it is my favorite. It uses the freeze-dried apple slices, and it also uses freeze-dried applesauce, which I just powdered it up with the mortar and pestle, and then I also use that to kind of smash up some of the apple slices so they weren't too big in there. I measure out 1/3 cup of the mix and then 2/3 cup of water, and then I cook it for 90 seconds and add a whole bunch of toppings to the top. That is what helps me to like oatmeal, is when it has some like texture to it and I can add things on it. Then I will eat it more. After I finished up making the flavored oatmeal mix, then we moved on to making granola. And we like to eat granola with yogurt. That's what the kids usually eat it with. Or sometimes we will have it with almond milk, and then we'll put blueberries on the top. For the Pantry challenge, we either put on freeze-dried blueberries or frozen blueberries, and then just eat it like that. Something that Cam did in his family when he was growing up is that they did not have cold cereal for breakfast. They just would have something like oatmeal or the granola or cracked wheat, is what he said. Only on very rare occasions did they eat Cheerios or Fruit Loops, Lucky Charms, anything like that. Early in our marriage, we did buy cold cereal because that's what I grew up on. And then as I started having some health challenges, we cut that out completely out of our diet, with the exception of Christmas. And that's what his family did. So we have just kind of kept that tradition alive, and that is what we do in our house. So the granola kind of acts like a cold cereal for us, just a slightly healthier version. I got the granola all finished up, and then I went outside to go and do something. I can't even recall what it was, but I needed to do something outside. And usually what I do is I will switch the pans halfway through but I didn't this time because I was outside and I totally forgot about it. So you see one pan is the light brown color and one is a dark brown. The light brown is what you want and the dark brown is slightly overcooked, but it's actually okay because it was more just on the surface of the granola, and once I kind of chipped away at it and saw underneath, that was all fine. I added some dried cranberries after it came out of the oven and then waited until it completely cooled. Then we broke it up and put it into the jars.
It is freezing cold outside, so I'm inside. We're gonna do some homemaking type stuff today, cleaning, and this little guy has been sick. He has a fever, so he does not want to be let down. So him and I are pretty much attached today, so it's a good day to kind of get some stuff done around the house.
While I am doing that, I want to tell you about our sponsor for this video, Birch Living. As we have gone along through our homesteading journey, I've tried to surround myself with and use more natural products. There are so many things that can be potentially harmful to our bodies, and it would be nearly impossible to eliminate all of them. So I've tried to be really intentional about which items are worth it to replace. And one of those things that we chose to go all natural on is our mattress, because that is something that we are literally inches away from about a third of each day. Birch makes mattresses that are crafted with organic and natural materials that have been sustainably sourced, and we decided to replace our mattress last year with a Birch Luxe mattress, and recently we needed to replace some of the boys' mattresses, so we chose Birch natural mattresses for them. We can sleep easy knowing we're avoiding harmful off-gassing that can result from polyurethane foams. A mattress is something that you also want to be comfortable, so with a Birch mattress, you do get a 100-night sleep trial along with a 25-year warranty. We have loved our Birch mattresses, and if you are looking for a new bed yourself, definitely check out Birch Living. Their President's Day sale is running right now. It is the perfect time to upgrade your sleep with 25% off a Birch mattress plus 2 free EcoRest pillows. Visit birchliving.com/seasonal homestead to find out more about this limited time offer. One of the things that I have made pretty consistently over the Pantry challenge, and honestly, most of the time I just do this anyway, is I make a lot of sourdough bread. And so this day I was just doing my regular routine of making some bread. We probably make it, I don't know, like 2 to 3 times a week, just depending on what we're making, what other things we have in the house, if we have other snacks around. But normally bread is the go-to snack and staple in our house. On occasion, we do want a little bit of a different snack because just eating bread or taking it with us somewhere does get old. So on this day, I decided that I wanted to make some muffins and then just make a couple of dozen so that I could freeze half of them for later when we are going to go somewhere. We have something to take with us that's easy to eat. So what I decided to make was a cranberry lemon muffin is what I ended up with. I think sometimes it surprises people to learn that I actually really do not love cooking or baking, but I do love good food and I love healthy food. One thing I've learned over time is what helps me to enjoy it a little bit more is if I am able to be creative with it. And the Pantry Challenge has done a good job of kind of forcing me to be creative. And then I love cooking and baking a lot more. So when I was making these cranberry lemon muffins, I didn't have a recipe for it. I was kind of creating it on the spot. And that was really fun for me. What was even more cool about it was they actually turned out, which doesn't usually happen on the first try. And instead of using butter, I used lard for this, which is kind of unusual for a muffin, but that is what we had. And oh my goodness, they were really good. I think because of the lard that I use. And also I've never had cranberries inside of a muffin before, and I really liked it because cranberries are super tart and then muffins are really sweet, so I kind of liked that, the sweetness of the muffin, and then you kind of get like the tangy of the cranberry in one bite, and that was really good because I don't like things that are overly sweet. Luckily, as I was working on these, I did take some notes of how much of everything I put in there. So I am going to put that into a recipe and I will put it on my blog. And hopefully by the time this video is up, I can link it in the video description. It does need a little bit of refinement because when I made it, it made more than 2 dozen muffins, which was kind of odd. It was just like 2 dozen plus 2, so like 26 muffins. So I had a little bit extra. I could probably fix up the recipe a little bit so it was exactly the right amount for the muffin tins, but the end result would be the same. I made a little sweet drizzle for the top of the muffins, and I put a little bit of cream cheese in there, and then I put in powdered sugar, and what you saw me putting in at the very end was preserved lemon liquid. So I had used all the preserved lemons that I had, and in the bottom of the jar there's always a little bit of liquid left, and I used that in this drizzle and it was very good. That gave it a nice strong lemon flavor, which is definitely to my taste. I love lemons, so anything with a very strong lemon flavor is good to me. Another thing that we like to have around is hummus, and I like to make my hummus with preserved lemons as well. So I have a recipe for preserved lemons. If you haven't heard of them before, I'll link that down in the description. It's basically just whole lemons chopped up in quarters and salt and added lemon juice, whether it be fresh or from a jar. And then you let that ferment for a couple of weeks, and it makes the rinds turn soft and edible, and it's a delicious flavor that you don't want to eat on its own, but it's a really good addition to dishes like this hummus, for example. Usually the preserved lemons have a very bright, vibrant yellow color, but actually the preserved lemons I was using today were a lot older, so they were not as pretty looking as normal, but I needed to use them up. So this was the perfect way to use them because they're not really that visible. And I made my own tahini for this hummus. I just put the sesame seeds in the food processor, and then I just process it until it is smooth. Sometimes I have to add a tiny bit of olive oil to it. I am making a great big batch of this hummus because I'm going to freeze the majority of it in individual snack size portions and put them in the freezer so that we can have it ready whenever we need it. Hummus freezes really well. One thing I have learned as I have made this though is I always need to put in a little bit more liquid than I would normally if I were just to eat it fresh right there and then, because as you put it in the fridge and as it cools off, it kind of absorbs that and gets really thick. We put it in a variety of containers. You can put it in glass or plastic. I use both because the glass is mainly what we use at home and the plastic is just way more practical for taking somewhere. So most of these we'll just grab one frozen, and if we're going to be out for the day, we'll have it with us in the car. And usually after a couple of hours have gone by and everybody is getting hungry, the hummus has thawed, it's ready to eat, and we'll have some carrots or other veggies with us that we can just dip in it and enjoy.